this car might be the end of the petrol super mini as we know it. This is the MG4 Urban, and what makes this so incredible is its price. It starts at £23,000. If you're one of those people that's always wondered and thought that EVs are too expensive, this isn't. So let's talk about this car in this video. Let's talk about this car. So this car starts at £23,495. It has 201 miles of range, up to about 250 miles of range, depending on the model you get. Even the top trim is only about £28,000. This truly is mind-bogglingly fantastic value, and you'll notice some things at the front which are very, very interesting, because this car shares a lot in common with the MG IM models, the IM5, the IM6. It's got the same kind of design on the headlights, which I think really look fresh and interesting, and it's got that MG kind of shark sort of front sort of design, but again it just looks really fresh and really smart on this car. This car really does hit the fast, little, nimble super mini segment, if you ask me. I really like this, and of course, just like all MGs, it has the design here which is taken from the Cyberster, which is on the S5 and S6 as well. So this is definitely a new generation of car with the MG4 Urban. This car is built on MG's new E3 platform, which means it has a cell to body design, so the battery is built into the design of this, which means there's more space in the back, the car is stiffer, it's more efficient, 4 miles per kilowatt hour, and it starts at under £24,000, and it's not much bigger than you would expect of other super minis and petrol cars. So this is a really compelling package on the MG4 Urban. The rear of the MG4 Urban is something which I really like too. We've got this interesting rear light design, which I feel is a bit like Mini-esque. It kind of looks like it's got the Union flag thing going on. Of course, MG are very much a British heritage company, obviously Chinese now, but British heritage, so that's okay if they want to do that. I think it's a very cool, funky design. At the back here too, I love how it's got this VW style way to open the back, which is really good. Now in the back here, there is a ton of storage, 577 litres of space back here, including underneath here 98 litres of space. This space is absolutely cavernous. It's like a cave down there. Look, so this is the emergency triangle, and if I put it on its end, it basically takes up all of the space. You could literally fit, I mean, you could fit a suitcase under there and you wouldn't even know it was there. It is absolutely incredible space. Talk about practicality from a car. Just look at how compact and sporty this car looks from the side, and really interestingly, you've got a front end charging port. Really interesting to see that. Most EVs seem to have them at the back now, so that's really interesting. And I love this wheel design. This is a fantastic wheel design. This just gives me the spirit of a super mini. This gives me the spirit of a Vauxhall Corsa. It just, you know, it just has that something about it which I really love. The design, and this color is pretty fetching as well, this light metallic green. Let's check out the space inside, because we know that thanks to the cell to body technology, there's more headroom. The back of this car is incredible for space. We've got the cell to body technology, which takes up such a small amount of room that is part of the structure of the car, which means it's super low in the car, which means we have all this space. I'm 1.78 m, and I mean, look at that, there's like a foot in front of my knees. At the top there's space above my head as well. This is not a very tall car, it's very compact, you can see from the outside, and still I've got quite a lot of space above my head. You could probably fit 3 people in the back here. It might be a tiny bit cramped in the middle because this isn't a very wide car. In terms of legroom, I can put my feet underneath the seat in front. There's just so much space. This would be so good for a family. It really would. You could put your dog in the back of this car. On the back seats, there isn't quite enough space in the boot, although with that space below the floor of the boot, you could probably put your dog in the back there, but they wouldn't have a very nice time back there. But like, this is just so spacious. Family, children, perfect. This is really good. The rest of the interior of this car feels a bit more like a £23,000 car, because it doesn't have seat back pockets, and it is scratchy plastic back here, and it does show scratches and dirt because it is a bit cheaper back here. But I mean, this is really incredible for what it costs, the amount of space you've got. It is amazing. Inside this MG4 Urban, it feels like an MG4. There are some differences. We got the same steering wheel, which I really like the design of. We got the same infotainment system, and display works the same way, and we've got the same physical buttons to adjust the fan speed for the heating and the volume for the stereo. We've got our wireless charging, we've still got that, and we still got nice space in the middle here. It doesn't feel in the front like it costs less than £24,000. I like this design on the dashboard here with that bit of aluminium design going across here, and this side too splits the dashboard very nice. We've got a new 7-inch display here, which is square, unlike the 10-inch display on the MG4. I probably prefer the MG4 display, it's bigger, but this shows all the same information you could want. And there's some differences down here with these vents design, but it has a cool look to it. These seats look a lot more basic, but they still feel really comfortable, and they're very nice. And overall, this car feels very much like it's part of the MG4 family. Are there any disappointments in this car? I mean, I don't know how you can complain when a car costs less than £24,000, but if you really want to nitpick, we've got half the speed fast charging of the MG4 model year 26. We've got a more simple torsion beam design for the suspension, so it's less refined. We've got a slower car, 9.5 seconds 0 to 60, so it's slower, but most minis, super minis are slower, let's be honest. And we've only got a 7-inch screen here, but again, I said that's fine. And it's front wheel drive, not rear wheel drive like the MG4. And although that is more fun, most super minis are not rear wheel drive, most are front wheel drive. So really nitpicking there. This is a really compelling package. This infotainment system is the same as the infotainment system in the MG4. You can see we've got Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. We can scroll across and we can see the information about the range and what it's like, and you can see obviously 227 miles of range on here. This car has up to 258 miles of range depending on the model and the trim that you have, so there's plenty of space there. Very easy to use infotainment system, like I said, with our location and everything. And we got one pedal driving as well. And then down here we've got these physical buttons. I like this design here for this air vent system. It just has a really cool, interesting look to it. And then we've got our 7-inch infotainment display right here, which is not as big as the one in the MG4. It's a new design, but it still looks pretty nice and no complaints there. And then we've got our really fantastic MG steering wheel, which I really like. I like these steering wheels. And then down here we've got some space to store stuff, and we got our cup holders, and we've got our wireless charging. So you got everything covered in this car. The first thing you'll notice about this car is that despite its really great value, inexpensive price tag, it drives just like the other MG4 does. It's a bit harder on the suspension. It's got a bit of a stiffer suspension, but that's probably down to the fact that the suspension is actually not the same kind as on the MG4. It's a more basic suspension system on this car, so it feels a bit firmer, but in every other way it feels very similar. Now, it doesn't have that 50-50 weight distribution, but because this is a small car and it's front wheel drive, it feels very flingable into the corners. Now, this isn't meant to be a sporty car, but if you're looking at it as a potential replacement for your petrol supermini, for your Corsa or for your Fiesta, then it certainly could be, because it does feel a lot like that. And certainly being an EV with between 140 and 158 horsepower means it's going to be a lot faster and a lot quicker accelerating than your super mini. But for the family, what it means is there's a ton of space because of that fantastic cell-to body technology, which incorporates a battery into the structure of the car. It means there's tons of space in the rear and there's tons of space in the front. Everything else just feels like an MG4. It's got all the technology. You can turn off the beeps and the bongs using the Pilot Custom function. You can control what you're doing. If you indicate, it shows you on the screen where you're going. It's got all the driver assistance technology. You can still change between the regen braking settings if you want to. So we can go into adaptive, or as I am in now, in strong. And if you hit the other button on the other side, you can change between the different drive modes to get a more sporty drive. There is just very little that this car is doing wrong. It's doing nothing wrong is the answer. It's doing everything right. It's really impressive for the price. Now, it's not the fastest car. 9.5 seconds 0 to 60. It's not going to break any world records, but it's an EV, so it feels a lot quicker. And that is something which is really good when you look at this car and you think about how it performs. So overall, fantastic value, decent range between 258 miles of range and 211, comparable with its competition, other cars in this price point, and decent performance, and it's just really cool looking. I just really like the look of this car, and as a car which will bring you into an EV ownership plan, this car is a really good starting point, and I'm very impressed by it. How does it handle the roads? Well, look, I mentioned it doesn't have the same fancy suspension as the MG4 does, but this is a really bumpy country road that I'm on now, and it's handling it fine. Like I said, it's a bit stiffer and a bit firmer than the MG4, but I'm happily driving over the big bumps in the road, and I'm not being shaken around, and I'm certainly not feeling uncomfortable. So it's been tuned well enough for what we want here in the UK and around Europe. And I think unless you were driving back to back, you wouldn't even notice the difference. I've driven the MG4 and the MG4 Urban back to back, so I do see a difference. But for every normal people who don't drive them back to back, I don't think you'd feel much difference here. I really don't. I think you'd find the cars to be very, very, very much the same and comparable. So at that point, you're getting a car which is almost the same in terms of feel, and arguably has a better design in my eyes than the MG4, but for £6,500 less. Well, you make up your mind. What do you think? Which one would you get? Let me know in the comments. But you know what? I think I'd go for the MG4 Urban for this car, because I think it's a very irresistible package. Is the MG4 Urban the car to get instead of the MG4? There's lots of arguments to be made for it. It's got better technology with a cell to body. It's got more space. It's less expensive. It's got a heat pump as standard. The only bit where it misses out is power and range. But for this value and this size, this really is an outstanding car. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please see my other videos, including the MG4 here and other cars here. And don't forget to give me a like and subscribe for more on the channel. Thanks for watching.